The Yokuts, also known as the Mariposan people after Mariposa County, are indigenous to Central California. Yokuts, meaning person or people, belong to the Panudian language family. They lived in an area approximately 250 miles long along the floor of the San Joaquin Valley, stretching from the mouth of the San Joaquin River to the base of the Tehachapi Mountains. They also inhabited the nearby lower slopes and foothills of the Sierra Nevada Mountains, up to a few thousand feet in altitude, extending from the Fresno River southwards. In the northern part of the Yokuts territory, some tribes resided in the foothills of the Coast Range to the west. Archaeological evidence suggests they lived in the Carrizo Plain and created rock art in the Painted Rock area. Yokuts can occasionally be divided into three groups: Yokuts from the Southern Valley, Yokuts from the Northern Valley, and Yokuts from the foothills. With diverse dialects, the Yokuts consisted of around 60 distinct hunter-gatherer tribes, speaking various related languages. They resided in numerous villages, each tribe accommodating up to 350 individuals. Each tribe had a head chief, a sub-chief known as Winnetoon, and a village chief. Chiefs were typically wealthy and well-versed in religious affairs. The role of chief was passed down through generations and could be occupied by both women and men. Chiefs oversaw ceremonies, welcomed guests, assisted the needy, settled conflicts, sanctioned hunts, and dealt with the punishment of wrongdoers like sorcerers. Two other crucial positions were that of jester or clown and undertaker. The latter was often a two-spirit individual who identified with a gender different from their biological one and lived accordingly. Another important role was that of the chief's messenger. Families facilitated marriages with the agreement of the individuals involved. While polygamy was tolerated in Yokuts society, it was not commonly practiced. Following a year of residing with the wife's parents, the couple typically settled near or with the husband's parents. The Yokuts adhered to strict customs regarding relationships with in-laws, prohibiting direct communication between a son-in-law and mother-in-law, as well as a daughter-in-law and father-in-law. Divorce was relatively straightforward within the tribe and could be initiated due to reasons such as infidelity, idleness, or infertility. In Yokuts tradition, men typically undertook hunting, fishing, and construction tasks. They utilized spears, basket traps, and various implements for hunting game. Lakes and rivers yielded lake trout, perch, chubs, suckers, salmon, and steelhead, while waterfowl like geese, ducks, and mud hens were captured using snares in tool marshes. Mussels and turtles were also favored food sources. Antelope, elk, and deer were hunted as they approached lakes for water. Additionally, the Yokuts consumed a variety of other animals and birds, including wild pigeons, quail, rabbits, squirrels, rodents, and even dogs. The women of the Yokuts tribe collected food, managed household affairs, and looked after the children. Their main dietary staple was acorn mash, while they also gathered tool roots and iris bulbs to produce flour. Additionally, they gathered manzanita berries, pine nuts, and seeds from the environment. Salt was obtained from salt grass, and they cultivated tobacco for their use. Bows and arrows served both as hunting tools and weapons in battles. While the Yokuts crafted some of their own bows and arrows, they also acquired them through trade with neighboring groups. The bows were reinforced with sinew, and the arrows were fletched with feathers. Traps and snares made from branches and brush were used to capture other animals, while fish traps were set up in streams. Spears were employed for fishing, and nets crafted from milkweed fibers were used to catch certain birds. Another essential tool was a stick with a loop at one end, used for stirring mush and lifting hot stones from cooking baskets. The Valley Yokuts utilized canoe-shaped rafts constructed from bundles of tule reeds, which could accommodate up to 6 people and were propelled using long poles. Meanwhile, the foothill Yokuts fashioned rafts by binding together 2 logs. In the San Joaquin Valley, wood and stone were not as abundant as in other parts of California. Obsidian, essential for crafting knives and arrowheads, had to be obtained through trade from northern and mountainous regions. When obsidian was scarce, Alternative stones such as chert, jasper, and quartz were utilized for making knives and scrapers. Animal bones were sharpened to create awls for sewing, and pointed tools were employed for punching holes and making needles. Tool reeds were versatile materials used to craft a variety of items including baskets, cradles, and mats. They were fashioned into baby cradles, bowl-shaped cooking baskets, cone-shaped carrying baskets, flat basket trays, seed beaters, and water baskets. Additionally, some foothill Yokuts produced rudimentary pottery bowls. Men typically wore a strip of deerskin around their waist or sometimes went unclothed. Rabbit skins and mud hen skins were fashioned into robes, worn over the shoulders for warmth in cold weather. Moccasins made from deer or elk skin were worn by Yokuts only when navigating rugged terrain. Yokut women donned a two-piece skirt consisting of a narrow-fringed section in the front and a larger piece in the back. These skirts were crafted from tool reeds, marsh grass, or rabbit skins. Additionally, when carrying a burden basket, women wore a basket cap on their heads secured with a forehead strap. The Yokuts resided in permanent dwellings for the majority of the year, venturing out only during the summer for food-gathering expeditions. Typically, individual families constructed oval-shaped houses using side poles fastened to a central ridge pole and covered with tool mats. In contrast, the Southern Valley tribes frequently erected larger dwellings capable of accommodating up to 10 families. These structures featured steep roofs and were entirely covered with tool mats on both the walls and roofs. In the spacious house, each family had its own fireplace and doorway, but there were no partitions between them. In foothill and arid valley regions, houses were occasionally constructed with floors dug down a foot or two into the earth. In marshy locales, floors were level with the ground. Both valley and foothills Yokuts erected shaded roofs resembling porches outside their homes, allowing them to work outdoors. Every village boasted a sweat house, excavated into the ground and covered with brush and soil exclusively utilized by men. While dance or assembly houses might have been present in Northern Valley communities, they were absent among the Southern Valley Yokuts. The Yokuts celebrated two significant religious events, the annual mourning ritual and the first fruit ceremony. Additionally, they held puberty rites for boys, involving the use of the hallucinogenic substance tolochi, derived from Jimson weed, Datura stramonium. Many Yokut ceremonies and dances occurred outdoors, often enclosed by brush fences. Eagle feathers played a crucial role in ceremonial adornment, with eagle down being utilized to craft ceremonial skirts. Elaborate headdresses were fashioned using magpie tail feathers arranged around a base of crow feathers. Shamans or medicine men held great importance within Yokut society. Believed to possess supernatural abilities, they led ceremonies and provided healing treatments. Their authority stemmed from spirit animals encountered in dreams or vision quests. However, their powers could be utilized for both benevolent and malevolent purposes. If their actions displeased the tribe, shamans risked execution. Among the Yokuts, artistic expression encompassed various forms such as music, singing, painting, and intricate basket weaving, often featuring elaborate designs and imagery. Additionally, they practiced tattooing and piercings, with some women sporting chin tattoos. The Yokuts engaged in extensive trading, maintaining roots with coastal peoples like the Chumash tribe. They exchanged salts, soapstones, and obsidian, using marine shells as currency known as kiha, indicating a functional monetary system. These items were traded for a variety of goods, including plant and animal products, mussels, abalone shells, and with the Miwok tribe for baskets, bows, and arrows. The Yokuts first encountered Europeans in 1772 when Spanish troops arrived in search of soldiers. Initial estimates placed the pre-contact Yokuts population at 18,000 in 1770. However, later assessments suggested a significantly higher figure, estimating around 70,000 individuals, marking one of the densest regional populations in pre-contact North America. During the 19th century, Spanish missions were established, and their expansion led to the forced labor of the Yokuts for farming purposes. The harsh conditions, coupled with disease and mistreatment, resulted in the deaths of many Native Americans. As the missions moved inland, they coerced those they encountered to convert to Christianity and engage in labor. In 1833, British fur traders introduced malaria, which spread among the native population due to their use of sweathouses. Following the acquisition of California from Mexico after the Mexican-American War, the federal government negotiated the first statewide treaty. This treaty allocated 7.5% of California's land for potential Indian reservations. Despite 18 proposed treaties, the U.S. Senate failed to ratify any of them. Gold was discovered in California in 1849. The 1850s brought devastation to the Yokuts, as American gold prospectors and settlers nearly wiped them out. In 1853, malaria once again ravaged the Yokuts, claiming more lives. The newly established state government adopted a different stance. In 1851, California Governor Peter Burnett asserted that unless the Indians were relocated east of the Sierras, a campaign of extermination would persist until the Indian race ceased to exist. By 1854, what remained of the Yokuts tribe was coerced into relocating to the Fort Tejon Reservation. Within a few years, the reservation came under attack by white vigilantes, who massacred most of its inhabitants. By 1859, the reservation lay abandoned. Over the following decades, settlers and later the California State Militia engaged in warfare against the Yokuts and other native tribes, leading to what is now recognized as the Californian Genocide. The Yokuts population dwindled by approximately 93% from 1850 to 1900, with numerous survivors coerced into indentured servitude under the authority of the California State Act for the Government and Protection of Indians. The Toole Reservation was set up in 1873, leading many Yokuts to relocate there. Throughout the early 20th century, Yokuts individuals found limited work in logging, ranching, and farming. Unfortunately, their children were forcibly enrolled in boarding schools during this time. The Yokuts faced a sharp decline in population due to diseases, violence, and forced relocations, resulting in significantly lower numbers today compared to the past. By 1910, their population was estimated at around 600 individuals. In 1921, the Santa Rosa Rancheria was established as a community for the Yokuts. By the 1950s, most Native American children attended segregated public schools. A resurgence of cultural pride emerged in the 1960s. According to the 2010 census, there were 6,273 individuals identifying as Yokuts. Many reside on reservations with casinos, crucial for employment, income, and health care for the Yokuts community. The Tachi tribe holds significant recognition as a federally recognized tribe.